In this video, we will explore the verbs that undergo similar changes in their perfective SV form. We will examine the three motion verbs along with the verbs they form with different prefixes. We will also look at several other verbs that undergo same transformations. If you don't know what perfective and imperfective verbs are, or if you don't know what motion verbs are, I recommend watching my videos on these topics before watching this video. You can find the links in the description below. These are the three motion verbs that we will examine in this video. There are two words for each verb. One is for describing movement in progress, unidirectional verb, and the other is for describing multiple trips, or at least a round trip, multidirectional verb. Verbs listed on the left, водить, возить, носить, are multidirectional. Verbs listed on the right, вести, вести, нести, are unidirectional. Водить, вести means to drive a car, bus, or truck, or to take somebody somewhere, to take a person somewhere. Возить, вести means to transport people or things. Носить, нести means to carry, usually to carry things, but in some instances to carry people. For example, we can carry a baby or someone who cannot walk. All of these verbs are imperfective, the NSV verbs. We will look at their perfective, their SV forms a bit later. Now, let's see how unidirectional and multidirectional forms are used in sentences. Водить, вести, to drive a vehicle or to take somebody somewhere. Водить is multidirectional. Do you take your child to school every day? Ты водишь ребенка в школу каждый день? Do you drive your car every day? Ты водишь машину каждый день? Every day, каждый день, in these sentences indicate that there are many trips in mind. This is why we needed multidirectional водить. Вести is unidirectional. Where are you taking me? Куда ты ведешь меня? Are you driving now? Ты ведешь машину сейчас? Now, сейчас, indicate that these questions are about an ongoing movement in one direction. Movement that is in progress at the moment of asking. So, ты водишь каждый день? Ты ведешь сейчас? Возить, вести, to transport. Возить is multidirectional. Do you drive your child to school every day? Ты возишь ребенка в школу каждый день? Ты водишь ребенка в школу? Do you take your child to school? Ты возишь ребенка в школу? Do you drive your child to school? Вести is unidirectional. Are you driving your child to school now? Ты везешь ребенка в школу сейчас? So, ты возишь каждый день? Ты везешь сейчас? Носить, нести, to carry. Носить is multidirectional. Do you usually carry passport with you? Ты обычно носишь паспорт с собой? Usually, обычно, indicates that the movement, here carrying passport, happens multiple times. This is why we used multidirectional носить. Нести is unidirectional. Where are you taking this? Куда ты несешь это? The question is about the movement that is in progress at the moment of asking. That's why we used unidirectional нести. So, ты обычно носишь паспорт с собой. Куда ты несешь это? As I mentioned earlier, all of these verbs are imperfective, the NSV verbs. They have several perfective, several SV forms. The multidirectional водить, возить, носить usually have two perfective, two SV forms, one with prefix po and the other is with prefix s. Prefix po here means that the movement happens for a specific, limited period of time. Prefix s here indicates a round trip there and back or several round trips. So, поводить, сводить are the perfective, the SV forms of водить. He took his child to school for a month. He no longer takes his child to school. Он поводил ребенка в школу месяц. He took his child to school in the morning. He took the kid to school. The kid was at the school in the morning, but now they're back home. It might be time for bed already. Он сводил ребенка в школу утром. Or he took his child to school several times. Он сводил ребенка в школу несколько раз. Or he took his child to school 5 times. Он сводил ребенка в школу 5 раз. So, он поводил месяц, он сводил утром, он сводил несколько раз, он сводил 5 раз. Водить also means to drive a vehicle. In this sense, this verb has only one SV form. Поводить. He drove his car for a month, but then decided to take the bus. Он поводил свою машину месяц, но потом решил ездить на автобусе. Повозить and свозить are the perfective, the SV forms of возить. He drove his child to school for a month. He no longer drives his child to school. Он повозил ребенка в школу месяц. He drove his child to school and then back home in the morning. He took the kid to school by car. The kid was at the school in the morning, but now they're back home. Он свозил ребенка в школу утром. Or he drove his child to school several times. Он свозил ребенка в школу несколько раз. Or he drove his child to school 7 times. Он свозил ребенка в школу 7 раз. So, он повозил ребенка в школу месяц. Он свозил ребенка в школу утром. Он свозил ребенка в школу несколько раз. Он свозил ребенка в школу 7 раз. Поносить and сносить are the perfective SV forms of носить. He brought his own food to school for a month, but then decided to dine in cafeteria instead. For a month he would carry his own food in his bag, but he no longer does it. He dines in cafeteria now. Он поносил еду в школу месяц. He took his cat to the vet in the morning. Он сносил кота к ветеринару утром. He carried the cat to the vet and then back home. They're at home now. It was a round trip. He took his cat to the vet several times. Он сносил кота к ветеринару несколько раз. Or he took his cat to the vet 2 times. Он сносил кота к ветеринару 2 раза. So, он поносил еду в школу месяц. Он сносил кота к ветеринару утром. Он сносил кота к ветеринару несколько раз. Он сносил кота к ветеринару 2 раза. Listen and repeat after me. Водить, поводить, сводить. Возить, повозить, свозить. Носить, поносить, сносить. Now, let's look at the perfective, the S verb of the unidirectional verbs, вести, вести, and нести. There are many. All of them have perfective S verb forms with prefix po. Keep in mind that these are unidirectional verbs, so prefix po can't be used to describe multiple trips. With unidirectional verbs, prefix po shows the beginning of movement in one direction. It means to set out on a journey by walk, by car, or carrying something. Повести is the perfective, the verb form of вести. He set out from home with his child to accompany them to school. They just left home and now are on the way to school. Он повел ребенка в школу. Повести is the perfective, the S verb form of вести. He embarked from home with his child heading towards school. He's driving his child to school now. They just left home and now are in the car on their way to school. Он повез ребенка в школу. Понести is the perfective, the S verb form of нести. He and his cat set out from home for the vet. He just left the home carrying his cat with him, and now they are on the way to the vet. Он понес кота к ветеринару. Listen and repeat after me. Вести, повести. Вести, повести. Нести, понести. The first two verbs sound similar here, but once you conjugate them, it is easy to hear the difference. So, prefix po in unidirectional verbs just shows the beginning of movement in progress. This movement might end inside, outside, or behind some place. It might be a movement away or across something. That's why unidirectional verbs have several other perfective, several other S verb forms with different prefixes that help express these details. In fact, both unidirectional and multidirectional verbs form other verbs with prefixes. Multidirectional verbs with prefixes form new imperfective, new NSV verbs, while the unidirectional verbs with prefixes form their perfective, their SV forms. These perfective forms are also the SV, the perfective forms of the base unidirectional verbs вести, вести, and нести. Let's look at the verbs that these three verbs make with prefixes. Each one has several meanings. Mostly they say something about movement, but sometimes the meaning has nothing to do with movement. Водить, вести. To take somebody, to take a person somewhere. Водить is multidirectional. It has two perfective, two SV forms, поводить and сводить. Поводить means to take somebody somewhere several times for a specific period of time. Сводить means to take somebody somewhere and bring them back, and it can be a single round trip or few round trips. Вести is unidirectional. Повести is one of its SV, one of its perfective forms. It shows that the movement started. Водить makes new imperfective, new NSV verbs with prefixes. Вести makes their SV, their perfective forms with prefixes. These SV forms, these perfective forms, are also possible SV forms of esti. Let's see and examine these two verbs with different prefixes. Each one has several meanings. We will look at some of them. Заводить, завести. To take somebody behind something. He took the child behind the school. Он завел ребенка за школу. To take somebody inside. He took the child inside the school. Он завел ребенка в школу. To get a pet. He got a cat. Он завел кота. To make friends. He made friends. Он завел друзей. To start the engine, to start a car, for example. He started the car. Он завел машину. Он завел ребенка за школу. Он завел ребенка в школу. Он завел кота. Он завел друзей. Он завел машину. Заводить, завести. Вводить, ввести. Вводить, ввести new laws, regulations, restrictions, rules, and so on means to introduce new laws, rules, etc. They introduced new restrictions. Они ввели новые ограничения. Вводить, ввести medicine means to inject that medicine. Inject him with a sedative or administer a sedative to him. Введите ему успокоительное. Вводить, ввести в заблуждение means to mislead somebody. He misled me. Он ввел меня в заблуждение. She misled him. Она ввела его в заблуждение. Они ввели новые ограничения. Введите ему успокоительное. Он ввел меня в заблуждение. Вводить, ввести. Выводить, вывести. To take somebody outside. He took the child outside of the school, outside the school building. He led the child out, walked the child out. Он вывел ребенка из школы. Выводить, вывести из себя means to piss somebody off, to infuriate them to the point that they lose control over their emotions and explode with anger. The phrase literally means to take somebody out of themselves. He pissed me off. Он вывел меня из себя. I pissed him off. Я вывела его из себя. Он вывел ребенка из школы. Он вывел меня из себя. Выводить, вывести. Приводить, привести. To bring somebody to a place or to a person. He brought the child to school. Он привел ребенка в школу. He brought the child to the director. Он привел ребенка к директору. Приводить, привести пример means to give an example. Please provide an example. Приведите пример, пожалуйста. Он привел ребенка в школу. Он привел ребенка к директору. Приведите пример, пожалуйста. Приводить, привести. Отводить, отвести. To take somebody to a place or a person. He took the child to school. The child is at school. Он отвел ребенка в школу. He took the child to the director. The child is at the director's office now. Он отвел ребенка к директору. Он отвел ребенка в школу. Он отвел ребенка к директору. Отводить, отвести. Уводить, увести. To take somebody away from a place or from a person. The child is not here. He took him away to school. Он увел ребенка в школу. Он увел ребенка в школу. Уводить, увести. Подводить, подвести. To take somebody close to a place or to a person. To take them next to somebody or something. He took the child next to the school. They didn't enter, just approached the school. They're in front of the school. Он подвел ребенка к школе. He took the child to the director. They're in front of the director. Он подвел ребенка к директору. Подводить, подвести also means to let somebody down. He let me down. Он подвел меня. I let him down. Я подвела его. Он подвел ребенка к школе. Он подвел ребенка к директору. Он подвел меня. Подводить, подвести. Проводить, провести. To take somebody through some kind of barrier or to take somebody past somebody else or past something. He took me into the theater without a ticket. Он провел меня в театр без билета. To hold events, to hold contests, meetings, seminars, classes, and so on. They hold 2 contests every year. Они проводят 2 конкурса каждый год. Он провел меня в театр без билета. Они проводят 2 конкурса каждый год. Проводить, провести. Переводить, перевести. To take somebody across something. He took grandma across the road. He helped her cross the street. Он перевел бабушку через дорогу. To translate. He translated the text. Он перевел текст. To transfer money. He transferred $200 to her. Он перевел ей $200. Он перевел бабушку через дорогу. Он перевел текст. Он перевел ей $200. Переводить, перевести. Доводить, довести. To take somebody to a certain point to help them reach that point. Walk them there. He walked me to the pharmacy, and from there I knew my own way. Он довел меня до аптеки, оттуда я знала дорогу сама. Доводить, довести also means to drive somebody crazy to the point that they have no more emotional strength to deal with the upsetting behavior. He drove me crazy. Он довел меня. I drove him crazy. Я довела его. Он довел меня до аптеки. Оттуда я знала дорогу сама. Он довел меня. Доводить, довести. Разводить, развести. To take somebody away from each other, to separate them, to move them in different directions. He took the kids to different rooms. Он развел детей по разным комнатам. To divorce somebody as a person in authority, to do so. In slang, it also means to trick somebody, to cheat them. So, он развел их can have two meanings. He divorced them or he cheated them. Depends on the context. If we add ся, разводиться, развестись, it will mean to get divorced. So, он развел их, he divorced them. Он развелся, he got divorced. Он развел детей по разным комнатам. Он развел их. Он развелся. Разводить, развести. Возить, вести. To transport. To transport people or things. Возить is multidirectional. It has two perfective, two SV forms, повозить and свозить. Повозить means to drive somebody or something to a place several times for a specific period of time. Свозить means to transport somebody or something to a place and bring them back. It's a round trip. Or it can be several round trips, and in this case, we will count the trips. Вести is unidirectional. Повести is one of its perfective, one of its SV forms. It shows that the movement started. Возить makes new imperfective, new NSV verbs with prefixes. Вести makes their perfective, their SV forms with prefixes. These perfective forms are also possible perfective forms of вести. Let's see and examine these two verbs with different prefixes. Each one has several meanings. Let's look at some of them. Завозить, завести. To transport somebody or something behind someplace. He drove the child behind the school. Он завез ребенка за школу. To transport somebody or something into a place. He drove the child into the forest. Он завез ребенка в лес. To bring or to transport somebody or something to a place and leave. To drive over, drop something or somebody off and leave. Bring me the keys. Завези мне ключи. The person is expected to drive over to bring the keys. So it's really pass by my place by car, drop off the keys and leave. Он завез ребенка за школу. Он завез ребенка в лес. Завези мне ключи. Завозить, завести. Ввозить, ввести. Ввозить, ввести goods into a country means to import goods into a country. To bring materials into a country. Ввозить материалы в страну. To bring drugs into a country. Ввозить наркотики в страну. Ввозить материалы. Ввозить наркотики в страну. Ввозить, ввести. Вывозить, вывести. To transport somebody or something out of somewhere. He took the child out of the country. Он вывез ребенка из страны. These goods are prohibited from being exported. Эти товары запрещено вывозить из страны. Он вывез ребенка из страны. Эти товары запрещено вывозить из страны. Вывозить, вывести. Привозить, привезти. To bring somebody or something to a place or to a person by vehicle, to transport them there. He brought the child to school. He drove the child to school, they arrived. Он привез ребенка в школу. He brought the child to the doctor by car. They arrived. Он привез ребенка к врачу. Bring me the keys. Завези мне ключи means pass by or drive over, drop off the keys and leave. Привези мне ключи simply means bring me the keys. Both verbs, however, mean that transportation will be used to deliver the key. Он привез ребенка в школу. Он привез ребенка к врачу. Привези мне ключи. Привозить, привезти. Отвозить, отвезти. To transport somebody or something to a place or to a person. To take them there by vehicle. He took the child to school by car. The child is at school. Он отвез ребенка в школу на машине. He took the child to the doctor by car. The child is at the doctor's office. Он отвез ребенка к врачу на машине. Take the keys to her. If the person is expected to use transportation to deliver the keys, we say отвези ей ключи. Он отвез ребенка в школу на машине. Он отвез ребенка к врачу на машине. Отвези ей ключи. Отвозить, отвезти. Увозить, увезти. To take somebody or something away from a place or from a person by vehicle. The child is not here. He drove the child away to school. Он увез ребенка в школу. He took her away to Siberia. We need transportation to travel to other cities, countries, or regions. That's why he took her to Siberia is он увез ее в Сибирь. Он увез ребенка в школу. Он увез ее в Сибирь. Увозить, увезти. Подвозить, подвезти. To transport somebody or something close to a place or close to a person. To take them next to somebody or something by vehicle. He drove the child to school. They arrived. They are right next to it. Он подвез ребенка к школе. Подвозить, подвезти somebody also means to give them a ride. He gave me a ride. Он подвез меня. I gave him a ride. Я подвезла его. Он подвез ребенка к школе. Он подвез меня. Подвозить, подвезти. Провозить, провести. To transport somebody or something through some kind of barrier, or to transport somebody or something past somebody else or past something. He smuggled drugs across the border. Он провез наркотики через границу. Он провез наркотики через границу. Провозить, провести. Перевозить, перевести. To transport somebody or something across or over something, like bridge, for example. To transport from one side to the other. He drove grandma over the bridge. Он перевез бабушку через мост. To move somebody or something, to transport them from one place to another. We moved our things to our new house. Мы перевезли наши вещи в наш новый дом. Он перевез бабушку через мост. Мы перевезли наши вещи в наш новый дом. Перевозить, перевести. Довозить, довести. To transport somebody or something to a certain point, to help them reach that point, to drive them there. He drove me to the pharmacy, and from there I knew my own way. Он довез меня до аптеки, оттуда я знала дорогу сама. Он довез меня до аптеки, оттуда я знала дорогу сама. Довозить, довести. Развозить, развести. To transport people or things to multiple locations. In the evening, the school bus takes the kids to their homes. Children are transported to different locations. Вечером школьный автобус развозит детей по домам. Вечером школьный автобус развозит детей по домам. Развозить, развести. Носить, нести. To carry. Носить is multidirectional. It has two perfective, two SV forms. Поносить and сносить. Поносить means to manually take somebody or something to a place, to carry them there, multiple times for a limited period of time. Сносить means to carry somebody or something somewhere and bring them back, a single round trip. Or it can be several round trips, and we will count the number of trips. Нести is unidirectional. Понести is one of its perfective, one of its SV forms. It shows that the movement started. Носить makes new imperfective, new NSV verbs with prefixes. Нести makes their perfective, their SV forms with prefixes. These SV forms are also possible SV forms of нести. Let's explore the meanings of these two verbs with different prefixes. Заносить, занести. To manually take somebody or something, to carry somebody or something inside. He took the suitcases into the house. Он занес чемоданы домой. To take or to carry something to a place or to a person, deliver it and leave. To drop something off and leave. Bring me the keys. Занеси мне ключи. The person is expected to bring the keys and leave. So it's pass by my place, drop off the keys and leave. As you might have noticed, request to bring the keys has several translations in Russian. We will compare them on the next slide. Он занес чемоданы домой. Занеси мне ключи. Заносить, занести. Вносить, внести. To carry somebody or something into a place. Заносить, занести is to take somebody or something inside in general, whereas вносить, внести is to carry somebody or something in through the door. He carried the suitcase through the door. He carried them in. Он внес чемоданы. Он занес чемоданы means he took the suitcases inside. Он внес чемоданы, he carried them through the door. Вносить, внести. Изменения means to make changes. To make changes to schedules, programs, contracts, or laws. WhatsApp developers made changes to the application. Разработчики WhatsApp внесли изменения в приложение. Разработчики WhatsApp внесли изменения в приложение. Вносить, внести. Выносить, вынести. To carry somebody or something out of somewhere. He took the suitcases outside. Он вынес чемоданы. Take out the trash. Вынеси мусор. Выносить, вынести приговор means to pass judgment and announce the sentence at the end of a trial in court. He was sentenced to death. Ему вынесли смертный приговор. Выносить, вынести also means to endure, to bear, or to tolerate somebody or something, emotionally or physically. I can't stand the smell of garlic. Я не выношу запах чеснока. I can't stand this woman. Я не выношу эту женщину. He won't survive the flight. Он не вынесет перелета. Он вынес чемоданы. Вынеси мусор. Ему вынесли смертный приговор. Я не выношу запах чеснока. Он не вынесет перелета. Выносить, вынести. Приносить, принести. To manually bring something or somebody to a place or to a person. To carry it there. He brought his cat to school. He carried the cat to school. Он принес своего кота в школу. He brought his cat to the vet. Он принес своего кота к ветеринару. Bring me the keys can be also translated as принеси мне ключи. We will look at the different translations of this request a bit later. Он принес своего кота в школу. Он принес своего кота к ветеринару. Принеси мне ключи. Приносить, принести. Относить, отнести. To take somebody or something to a place or to a person. To carry them there. So, приносить, принести is to bring. Относить, отнести is to take somebody or something to a place or to a person. He took his cat to school. The cat is at school. Он отнес своего кота в школу. He took his cat to the vet. Он отнес своего кота к ветеринару. Take the keys to her. Carry it with you and deliver it to her. Отнеси ей ключи. Он отнес своего кота в школу. Он отнес кота к ветеринару. Отнеси ей ключи. Относить, отнести. Уносить, унести. To take somebody or something away from a place or from a person. To carry something or something away. Take the documents from here. Carry them away somewhere. Унеси документы отсюда. Унеси документы отсюда. Уносить, унести. Подносить, поднести. To carry and bring something or somebody close to a place or to a person. He brought the spoon to his mouth. Он поднес ложку ко рту. Он поднес ложку ко рту. Подносить, поднести. Проносить, пронести. To carry or to bring somebody or something through some kind of barrier. To carry somebody or something past somebody else or past something. He smuggled drugs into the plane. Он пронес наркотики в самолет. Он пронес наркотики в самолет. Проносить, пронести. Переносить, перенести. To move somebody or something, to carry them from one place to another. We moved the couch into the bedroom. Мы перенесли диван в спальню. To reschedule, to change the day or the time of something. To move a scheduled event. They moved the meeting up an hour. Они перенесли встречу на час раньше. Переносить, перенести can also be used interchangeably with выносить, вынести when speaking about tolerating or enduring something or somebody. I can't stand this woman can be translated as я не выношу эту женщину or я не переношу эту женщину. He won't survive the flight can be translated as он не вынесет перелета or он не перенесет перелета. Мы перенесли диван в спальню. Они перенесли встречу на час раньше. Я не переношу запах чеснока. Он не перенесет перелета. Переносить, перенести. Доносить, донести also exists and has several meanings, but let's take a look at one more prefix here, prefix s. Сносить, снести. Сносить is one of the perfective forms of носить, and at the same time it is a different imperfective NSV verb with its own meaning and own perfective form снести. It means to pull down, to demolish something. They demolished the old building. Они снесли старое здание. Они снесли старое здание. Сносить, снести. Разносить, разнести. To carry things to multiple locations. Anna handed around the tea to the guests. Анна разнесла чай гостям. Анна разнесла чай гостям. Разносить, разнести. Let's look at the translations of the request. Bring me the keys. We need to pay attention to the prefix and to the verb itself. Возить, везти is to transport. Носить, нести is to carry. Prefix за here in this request means to pass by, to drop off something or somebody and leave. We use возить, везти when transportation is used or necessary. So завези мне ключи means that transportation will be used to pass by and drop off the keys. Maybe the person who is being asked lives far away, or maybe they're already driving, they're already on the way somewhere else and are expected to stop by to deliver the keys. Носить, нести means to carry. So, занеси мне ключи is pretty much the same as завези мне ключи, but it can be used in situations when it doesn't matter if transportation is used or when transportation is not necessary. For example, when it's a walking distance. Pass by to drop off the keys. Prefix pre means arrival in this request. So, привези мне ключи means drive over to bring the keys. Принеси мне ключи is just bring me the keys. It doesn't matter if the transportation will be used or perhaps transportation is not necessary. For example, when the person who is being asked is in the same room. So all of these can be used to ask somebody to bring the keys. Завези мне ключи, занеси мне ключи, привези мне ключи, принеси мне ключи. The same logic is applied in request take the keys to her. Prefix от in this request means to take something to somebody. So, отвези ей ключи. Take the keys to her, if transportation will be used to deliver the keys. Отнеси ей ключи. Take the keys to her. It doesn't matter if the transportation will be used, or perhaps transportation is not necessary. For example, when the receiver of the keys is in the same room. So both of these sentences can be used to ask somebody to take the keys somewhere. Отвези ей ключи. Отнеси ей ключи. So, again, водить, вести is to take somebody, to take a person somewhere, to walk somebody to a place or to another person. Возить, вести is to transport somebody or something. Носить, нести is to carry. Prefixes specify where to, but also give some additional unique meanings to each verb unrelated to moving. Let's read them all together. Заводить, завести. Завозить, завести. Заносить, занести. Вводить, ввести. Ввозить, ввести. Вносить, внести. Выводить, вывести. Вывозить, вывести. Выносить, вынести. Приводить, привести. Привозить, привести. Приносить, принести. Отводить, отвести. Отвозить, отвести. Относить, отнести. Уводить, увести. Увозить, увести. Уносить, унести. Подводить, подвести. Подвозить, подвести. Подносить, поднести. Проводить, провести. Провозить, провести. Проносить, пронести. Переводить, перевести. Перевозить, перевести. Переносить, перенести. Доводить, довести. Довозить, довести. Доносить, донести. Сносить, снести. Разводить, развести. Развозить, развести. Разносить, разнести. There are several other verbs that transform in the same way in their perfective, in their SV form. Let's look at these verbs. Соотносить, соотнести, to correlate. Произносить, произнести, to say, to pronounce. Производить, произвести, to produce, to manufacture. Бродить, брести, to roam, to aimlessly walk around, to wander. Обретать, обрести, обрести, to acquire, to gain self-confidence, for example. Обрести уверенность в себе. We use it with something non-tangible usually. Приобретать, приобрести, to purchase. Изобретать, изобрести, to invent. Подметать, подмести, to sweep the floor. Заплетать, заплести, to braid hair. Расплетать, расплести, to unbraid hair. Расцветать, расцвести, to blossom. Выцветать, выцвести, to fade, to discolor, to lose color. Let's read these verbs again. Соотносить, соотнести. Произносить, произнести. Производить, произвести. Бродить, брести. Обретать, обрести. Приобретать, приобрести. Изобретать, изобрести. Подметать, подмести. Заплетать, заплести. Расплетать, расплести. Расцветать, расцвести. Выцветать, выцвести.